Welcome back subscribers and hello YouTube viewers. On this occasion we're off to an old gold mining town called Whroo, and that's spelled W-H-R-O-O, and is a locality in the Shire of Strathbogie and Shire of Campaspe, Victoria, Australia. Whroo was a gold mining township in northern Victoria, 150 kilometres or 93 miles of the state capital, Melbourne. So first of all, I'll give you all the facts and any information I've found online about this town, and then you'll see me wandering around and giving my 2 cents worth without any research. So the name is pronounced Whroo and is thought to be derived from an Aboriginal word meaning lips. The word refers to a small natural basin in the hilly terrain which held spring water. It is about 400 metres southeast of the Whroo Cemetery, and the locality includes the Whroo Historical Area State Reserve. The first inhabitants of the area were the Ngorayelum people. The first European explorer to enter the Golden Valley was Thomas Mitchell. The first Europeans to visit the area were the drovers Joseph Howden and Charles Boney, and squatters started settling in the area in 1840. Two sailors, John Thomas Lewis and James Meek Nicholson, discovered a gold nugget in the grass at Whroo in October 1854, the year after the discovery at Rushworth. The location of the find was named Balaclava Hill, which we will visit, and it coincides with the Battle of Balaclava at the Crimean War. Balaclava Hill was a very rich field and was later mined by open cut. The early rush brought thousands of miners to Whroo, but within 4 years the population had dwindled to about 450. The township was surveyed in 1856. Welcome back subscribers and hello YouTube viewers. On this occasion we're off to a town called Whroo, and that's spelled W-H-R-O-O. It's north of Melbourne, about 150 kilometres, and we're going to have a bit of a wander around as it is a gold mining town. And the first thing we're going to see is something that's called a puddling machine. Now, I had some old photos from the State Library that showed how the horses would spin around this sort of turntable to crush rock. I think that's what it's all about. So let's have a look at this and see what it's all about. We should be okay using the drone. There's no airports or anything around here, and I can tell you it's a very sort of, I don't even know how you describe it, but basically it's very quiet here. There is a few campgrounds, and back in the day a lot of gold was found here. There is a place called the Balaclava Mine, which we'll have a look at, and I believe there's also a church. And you probably would have heard on the intro some of the history about this place. So without further ado, let's just have a look around and I'll show you what I'm looking at. So here we are at the puddling machine, I think it's what it's called. And the horses would walk around this track, and I'm guessing they must put some sort of stones or rock or gravel, and as that gets crushed, they can sort of extract whatever gold they find. It is a good little picnic area. There is a bit of a dam here. I don't think you'd want to swim in there, but I guess if you're looking for yabbies, you might find some in there. There's also a bit of a barbecue pit. Not the world's best, but I guess it'll do. Not sure if you can actually camp at this location. That's something you'll have to look up yourself. There are some notices about what we're looking at, and also there is a picnic table. So if you needed to have a bit of a break and have a look around, this isn't all that bad. Now, all the roads in this immediate area are dirt roads. This is some information about this puddling machine, and I think you would have seen how the horses go around, as I said, in the early photos that I showed. So if you want to press pause, do so if you want to read this. And there's one more little sign that we'll go have a look at in this location. So here's the final sign or information board about this location. Once again, by all means, press pause and you can have a read. Okay, so here we are at the Whroo Visitors Centre. And once again, we have another board here. And it basically tells us that in 1953, all that remained of a once bustling township was a weathered Church of England, Mechanics Institute, a few dwellings and only 3 residents. Lack of finance to purchase powerful machinery to prevent water rising in the shafts at deep levels saw work in the Whroo mines cease. So there you have it. So this is like a mud brick sort of visitor centre. Got a couple of photos. I'll get a little bit closer so you can see. This is where we're sort of heading up to next, which is the mines. Here's another map. As you can probably hear in the background, the bird life is very vocal. And in the background there is the bathrooms or the toilets. So these are the outdoor loos. And what's just in the distance, you've got a couple of picnic tables right here. And that dwelling with all the solar panels on top is actually up for sale. So if you're thinking about living in this area, very remote, and if you want your privacy, I think you're going to get it, but not all the time, because I can just imagine that if you lived here, with the amount of tourists that come and go and how infrequent they could come and go, that they're likely to bang on your door and ask you some questions, or maybe ask you if you can get some water or something, who's to say. But this is up for sale. And what I do like, which I'll zoom in, is that bus in the distance. Let's zoom in. Check out that old bus. What a beauty. And if you're into four-wheel drives, you will appreciate that the short wheelbase Nissan Patrol is a desirable vehicle, according to my son anyway. That's seen better days, I guess. So just a reminder also that this area is under surveillance. There are cameras everywhere, so that's great. And there is a bit of a story here that I'll read out. So it basically says that on this exact site was the Presbyterian Church of Whroo, built in 1863 using red bricks made in Rushmore. Johns Lewis donated £100, initially also used by the Methodist and Anglicans. I've sort of learnt that some of these churches that we go from town to town do change their denomination as the community that comes and goes might follow a different religion. And as you can see, this house for sale is a beauty. It's a mud brick house. A lot of signs saying that the area is under surveillance with cameras, which is, I guess, a good thing, because I'm sure there's people that come around and borrow things that they don't return, or take things that they shouldn't be taking. So this is the area. There's another plaque here which we'll walk to and see what this is all about. I'm suggesting this could be something about these trees, and yes it is. It's something to do with the ironbark trees. So just here I'll just read a few sentences. If you want to press pause, press pause. But basically the ironbark forest around Rushworth and Whroo is the largest stand of ironbark in the world and covers an area of 24,300 hectares. The characteristics box ironbark forests and woodlands are dominated by eucalyptus and wattles. So there you go. So just press pause if you want to read that. and we'll continue on with our little adventure in Whroo. Okay, so here we are at the Balaclava mines. This could be quite interesting. I had a bit of a sticky beak and had a bit of a look before showing you guys. I can tell you it's definitely worthwhile making the trip out this way to Whroo, as you'll soon discover as I spin this camera around to show you what there is on offer here. It is really an unexpected sight, much better than I expected. There is a platform that takes you right to the entrance of the shaft or the mining tunnel, and there are some easy walkways that you had to traverse to get there. So even if you're not the best of health, or not used to walking any sort of distances, this is actually quite easy and you should be able to do it. It is not disabled friendly, so people in wheelchairs or anything like that, unfortunately, it is a bit difficult and you won't be able to see it. So hopefully if you watch this video, I can show you what it's all about. So that's your walkway. It's well maintained, and then you have these stairs. Now I'm not sure if you're allowed to access it or not, and that'll take you basically all the way down to the entry point, which is way down there. I'll try to zoom in for you, and there's your entry points. Once again, I will get the drone up. Now there is an information board, but as you can see, unfortunately, either fire has gotten to it or it's just the UVs from the sun has made that perspex cover go all black. So there's really not too much you can read on it. I'll just pan over to this side as well. So as you can see, it does appear to be another entrance down there. I might get the drone up as well if I can get a signal to show you around. So there you go. Definitely well worth the effort. And I don't really see, you can see where the timber path is and where the concrete is. There's nothing to say that you can't walk down this way, but we'll double check. Okay, so here we go. Make our way down. It is relatively steep, but the steps are fine. A few railings are missing. Somehow I think it's going to be a lot easier going down than coming up. So we might have to catch our breath when we get down to the bottom and before we make our way back up again. Wow, so okay, so my fellow explorer, an old colleague from work, says there's bats here, and yes, we can see them, and there are some ravens or crows. I think they're ravens more so than crows that are in the area, and there's quite a large number of them. Okay, that wasn't too bad. So if you are making your way down, it's not that much of an effort. And once again, unfortunately, some of the people that do come here have a tendency to leave all their rubbish behind. Wow, okay. So there are a few entry points. So the tunnel is closed, so you can't actually go into the tunnels, but we'll just stand on the outside and look in. I might put my arm in to see what it all looks like. A lot of the entrances have been closed off with steel crates, which is good. And there you go. That's right. We'll leave them in there. I guess it would have been hard work back in the day to extract that gold. So this is pretty much the main entrance. I'm not about to climb over anything, but this gives you an idea. Graffitists have been here, which is a bit of a sad thing. And I'm not sure how well this shows, but it's quite dark where I am. But this camera is pretty good. It doesn't need all that much ambient light to give you something to look at. But it would have been a tough life for many seeking out this gold. This gives you an idea of where we came from. But yeah, definitely well worth the effort to come out this way. So this is one of the cages that they've locked out tourists from, which is a good thing, as you can see. The locks are all in place, but if I get the camera there, you can actually see all the way through and see where there's light at the other end. So there's more than one entry point to these mines or shafts. Okay, this is just another angle of the main entry points, but directly behind me is another point that I guess you could access if you wanted to. Someone for some reason has ripped out part of the cage. I'm out of breath and it looks like a bit of a dead end anyway. So there you go. It does say it's quite dangerous. I would say yes, it is. There are some rocks that have fallen. As you can see, I'll just zoom in. That area there, you can see part of the cliff has collapsed, and that's why it's closed off. So as you can tell, I'm out of breath, and this is just another viewpoint of the Balaclava shaft and mines, or the entries to the shafts. And just up there is another viewing point which we'll make our way to and give you a different angle from there. Now this is one of the air shafts. I think you might be able to see birds coming and going. I don't think they're actually bats. I think they're some sort of swallows. Very small, dark in colour, and they like to fly very fast and low to the ground. So I'm going to say that they're swallows and maybe not bats. So once again, I'll just pan around, and this just gives you another aspect of the shaft and the mines. The distance of, maybe that's a bit better, gives you an idea of the steps that you have to make your way down. And you can see where the cliff or the landslide occurred. That's blocked the entrance. It does say don't enter into the mine shaft, so we don't do that. Well, I didn't do it anyway. It's one of those things where you enter at your own risks. And this is the other viewing point. Now these are some of the signs that are displayed throughout the area, and once again, common sense applies. And if you do some damage to yourself, or you don't focus on little ones running around, well, the onus is on you. Now there is just here, we're about to come across, which is, I believe, the open cut shaft, where you walk in pretty much at ground level. That was created by the miners. I believe there was two, the one we just saw and this one here, so we'll have a look at this one as well. So this is what I believe to be the open cut shaft to gain access to the Balaclava Hill. And as we make our way down, I'm going to assume that this is all cut out as the gold miners were looking for gold. Now I do believe there was a large contingency of Chinese people or Chinese gold miners which came out to this area also. So that's quite interesting as well. Just like in Ballarat and in Bendigo, the Chinese did come to Australia back in the 1850s or during the gold rush period, and they came in their tens of thousands looking for riches. So yes, I believe that this is the open cut area that leads you into Balaclava Hill. Now Now continuing on with a bit more history of Whroo. The Balaclava mine, even though it opened in 1854 and sort of slowed down 4 years later with the population reduced, the mine then operated on and off and officially only closed in the 1960s. The first school opened in 1857 and by 1900 had a mechanics institute and library with 950 volumes, and it opened in 1859 and unfortunately closed but sold in 1955 to be used as a barn at a nearby town of Baillieston. The town had a Presbyterian and United Methodist churches, 3 hotels, a cordial factory and 3 ore crushing mills. By the 1920s, wood cutting from the ironbark forest around Whroo was the main local industry. Okay, so here we are now at the Whroo Cemetery. I'm just curious of some of the nationalities that are buried here. I do believe there are quite a number of Chinese, and I've just read the plaque and they said that there are Chinese people that are buried here, but they didn't really put down what their actual names are, so that'll never be known. But we'll have a look around and let's see what we see. Okay, so here we are at the cemetery. It's got this lovely plaque and it tells you who's who and where they are buried. As you can see, a lot of the tombstones or the placements for those that have passed have no names whatsoever. So as I pan around, you'll see that this is the Chinese area. There's one chap here. If you know Mandarin, if that's what it is, then maybe you can interpret it for us and leave it in the comments. But as you can see, there is quite a number of people here that have died. I will, like usual, try to find if there is any servicemen that might have provided a service during the First and Second World Wars. Here we have, not something I expected to see, but I might as well show you. I wasn't expecting this at all. Okay, so here's a tombstone showing the deaths of adults and the burial list. That's quite some number, and you can actually see the day that they passed. There are quite a number of Chinese surnames, but not all. As the plaque said, or that display board said, that a lot of them, they didn't record the names of the Chinese that passed away in the area. And then sadly, we also have the children that just didn't survive. Some as young as 1 month, 19 months. Also quite a number of the Chinese surnames. Very sad. Those days were really tough. This is just a key or a legend. It tells you whether or not it was a stillborn, died at birth, minutes later, days, weeks, months, years, age of infant unknown, and age of child unknown. Very sad. Once again, if you want to press pause, please do so. And I'll just go back to this one with the adults. And once again, press pause and look in your own leisure and your own time. Now, as you can see, there are sections for the Catholics, the Methodists, the Presbyterians. We saw earlier the Chinese area as well, and you can just see how old some of these tombstones are. This is a timber one. Just pan out a little bit, and I'm assuming there must be nothing on this that's readable. No. There you have it. I'll have a look around. As I said, I'll try to see if I can find anyone that had served in the military that died here, but it'd be someone that came here quite late. So I'm probably First World War, I've got a better chance of finding someone. Maybe even the Boer War. This one's really well kept. So I'm just curious if it's a family member. Someone might have looked up their family tree and realised that they had someone here. But who's to say? Also this one. And then you got this very large one. This one pretty much stands out the most. And this is of two ladies, Jane, and Charles and Sarah. So there's three here, 75 years of age, 78, and I really can't read the top one. 31 years of age. So 31, 78 and 75. I guess back in the day, if you made it to 70, you did quite well. Now these are some of the children's tombstones. They look quite modern, so I'm going to assume that someone might have made a donation to have these tombstones erected. So I have been walking around. I couldn't find any returned servicemen, but I did find people from everywhere. We've got people from France, Ireland, New Zealand. Quite a number of different countries made their way here. As I said, the Chinese were here in big numbers. And obviously from the UK as well. This one's from Scotland. I'll just zoom in a bit. So that one's from Scotland. That's a long way to come for gold, and to unfortunately lose your life trying to find it. There are quite a number in their 60s and 70s, but there are quite a lot that are quite young, in their early 20s. And it does mention that they lost their life looking for gold. So there you have it. This is the Whroo Cemetery. We'll come up to this very last one. We're walking now where the Anglican section is. And we have an Alexander, age 53, and his infant son. Oof. And then there's four of them here. It must have been tragic for a lot of these families, and I'd probably guess to say that family back home from whatever country they came from were totally unaware of what had happened to them. And then we've got this one over here. And this will be our final one. Northhausen is the surname, so somewhere from Europe, I'm imagining. All three, Elizabeth, Henry and Eliza. Okay. So this is just the other side of that board which showed all the who's who and where they're buried. This is just the other side. So once again, it gives you a basic sort of information about Whroo, as in the township, and also the cemetery. It does give you some names of note, so you're welcome to obviously press pause. I do like this fact that back in the day,
they had somewhat of a picket fence going around the cemetery, which we don't have today. That was in 1920. And here's another photo back in 1920, and once again you can see that there was a picket fence that went right around. I'm assuming that's to keep the wildlife, kangaroos, etc. out. At the moment there is a fence that goes around that prevents the kangaroos to come in here, but I guess they can pretty much jump over that pretty easily. But it is what it is. So here we are at the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's definitely worth the effort to come out to Whroo. That's spelled W-H-R-O-O. We are very close to Ngambie, and that's where I'm going to go for lunch. And if you're into motorcycle trail riding, there's a lot around here for that to occur. It is a very quiet place. There are quite a number of tourists that come and go that we've noticed, and this is not during school holidays or anything, so there are what we call the grey-haired nomads travelling around. We've also seen quite a number of people with metal detectors wandering around some of the creek beds or the dried out creek beds. It is a very surreal sort of place, and one can only imagine all the hardship that people had to endure looking for gold. I'm sure that still occurs around the world, where people prospecting for gold have a very tough life and will travel thousands of miles for that opportunity to gain some wealth. I think the saddest thing is this cemetery and the number of infants that unfortunately had passed away, either during stillbirth or at birth. I'm not even sure this place ever had a hospital at all. But once again, on a more positive note, if you did like the video, by all means click on that like button or that thumbs up icon. Please consider subscribing. Subscribing does not cost you 1 cent, and it really does help the channel immensely. But once again, most importantly, stay safe, commute safe, and have a great day, and thanks for watching.